Four-wheel drive, really cool, kind of a unique old car. It'll be fun. Bring me back to fond memories. Both my buddy and I both had Tercels. He had a 93, I had an 86, different body styles, but we'd go romping around the hills. We always wished that they were four-wheel drive. Now we've got a four-wheel drive one. My name is Carson. Welcome to Thrifty Garage, a channel where we do everyday repairs, how-tos, and reviews. And in today's video, we'll be talking about how to find a cheap car. The budget for this video will be $1,000 and less, so we want to get into a vehicle running and driving for $1,000 or less, and I think we should be able to do that pretty easily. So back when I was in high school, it was pretty easy to find cars for $500, $1,000, even running and driving, and it's just not as common anymore. After the cash for clunkers several years ago, most vehicles that are in a kind of reliable state are in the $3,000 or $4,000 range. You go up from there, so it can be kind of difficult to find a car in that $1,000 price range, but I don't think it's unseen or unheard of. Probably one of the best ways to get into a car for under $1,000 is to find a car that needs a little bit of work. Once a vehicle becomes in a non-running, non-driving state, people tend to reduce its value. It has no value, has less buyers, so it can really help you out. It could be a simple thing, could be a big thing. Looking for clutches that need a head gasket, that need a clutch, or some type of specific reason that the car stopped driving but was in a recent driving state. So you want a car that has been on the road, has been driving, and it's not 50 years old and needs new brakes and the whole entire car needs redone. You want a car that was recently running and driving and it had one semi-massive failure that led that current driver to not feel like it was worth reinvesting into that car and keep driving it. Some vehicles, it might even be a set of tires. It was a second or third vehicle and they didn't need it and it ran out of tires and they just stopped driving it because it got a flat. So it could be as simple as putting a new set of tires on, which can be several $100s. You can, on a small car, you might be $200, $300 for a set of tires. On a truck, you might be $500, $600 or even more for a set of tires. And if that's the case, buying a set of used tires might be a good option. A clutch is really pretty inexpensive. $100, $200, maybe $300 for a clutch, and a little bit of time and you're back on the road. With some of these repairs, it might make sense to look into a little bit older vehicle. When you purchase a new vehicle, you've got much more tight confines in the engine and drivetrain. You've got a lot more computers, a lot more wires, a lot more complexities, and it's just a little bit more technical on the mechanical side of things to repair it. So if you look at a vehicle that's a little bit older, 80s, 90s, it's still new enough to where it's got some of your amenities that you want. You've got a radio, you've got AC, some of those things that you'd want in a car, but they're not going to be as complicated. So in our situation, we chose for an 80s vehicle, a really small economy type car, and something that needs a little bit of work, but it's got good bones, it's got good structure. We do have further plans with this vehicle on the Toyota Fixation channel. My friend and I co-host that channel, and we'll be doing some cool mods to this vehicle in the future. So that was kind of why we chose this vehicle in particular, is there's a dual benefit to that. But really easy car to get started on. All it needs is a clutch, and we've already pulled the engine, which I've got right here. So we'll hoist it up and show you what we got.
I mean, she sounds better than either one of our Tercels ever did. We both, in high school, we both had Tercels. I had a 93 and an 87, and we used those like they were off-road trucks, man. We took them off in the Colorado mountains, off-roading them every which way, and so we know how bulletproof they are for sure.
Okay, so here we've got a whole engine right here. So I know what some of you might be thinking, clutch sounds like a major job, and it can be on some newer cars. This car that we picked out is a 1983 Toyota Tercel, and it's a four-wheel drive. So complicated drivetrain because it's a four-wheel drive, but it's also a transverse mounted engine, front to back, and it's got front-wheel drive. So most modern front-wheel drive vehicles are actually I forget the terminology, but the engines go from wheel to wheel, and so the transmissions in the side, and they just work a little bit better in that regard. So this is kind of a unique situation, and your transaxle actually goes underneath the engine, so it's kind of a unique setup. So yes, clutches can be kind of a complicated thing. which is why I kind of said maybe stick to the older vehicles. It's a little bit more simple to do. We decided it was going to be much, much easier to remove the engine and do it that way. Really glad we did. This engine was super easy to get into because it's early 80s. There's hardly any wiring, any hoses, any coolant, anything. It was, I think me and my buddy did it in 2 hours. First day we got it here, we unloaded it, pressure washed the car off, pressure washed the engine bay off, the underneath, kind of got it cleaned up so we weren't super messy working on it. And then day 2, so we spent an hour or so pressure washing it. Day 2, took us 2 hours, pulled the whole engine, and here it sits. And you know, 4 man hours, 2 buddies hanging out, working on it. So it really was a pretty easy job and not too bad. And what we found when we pulled it, see if we can get this to twist around, is it's super oily. So the previous owner said that it had a bad clutch, which makes sense. So we had a ton of oil seeping down right here, underneath the distributor, down by the starter. The starter hole had a ton of pretty fresh, new, clean oil in it, into the transmission bell housing and into the end there. So it would make sense if your clutch is covered in oil, it's not gonna work. So I think what really is the problem here is we've got an oil leak that was not fixed and resulted in clutch failure. I don't know if the clutch is so oil soaked it wouldn't work. We've already got it pulled. We're just gonna put a new clutch in it. We might as well. But what I found is we've got oil dripping. We've got oil dripping right here from the distributor. So I think all we've got is a bad O-ring on the distributor shaft going in. So really a cheap, inexpensive fix. If they would have caught this way before, this wouldn't even need a clutch. In fact, if we had diagnosed this as the issue, we potentially could have removed the distributor, fixed the O-ring, put it back together, and used this and got this clutch working. We did try to drive it, and there was 100% slippage. It would not move at all. I have heard stories of people running the clutch, starting the engine and letting the clutch run until it burns off some oil, until it has friction and being able to drive a vehicle. But we want this running and driving, we want this working, so this is a good way to go. So, engine has just shy of 200,000 miles on it. Pretty clean altogether car, aside from the rust. We are in the Midwest, we do have a significant amount of rust, so this vehicle does have rust in it. But I think that we'll be in an okay situation. So, step 1, power wash it. Step 2, pull the engine. Step 3, it'll probably take us another 2 to 3 hours to put this engine back in with a new clutch. While we've got this off, we're going to get the flywheel resurfaced, get it all cleaned up, ready for a new clutch, ready to go back in. We've already power washed the engine, we've already power washed the engine bay, so it's pretty clean, at least in comparison to what it was. We're gonna fix the oil ring on this, put it back together. Should be pretty straightforward, putting this back in the car, and then it should be running driving vehicle. Nothing shows the signs that anything else is really majorly wrong with it, so it should be back on the road running and driving. And like I said, we've got a really cool project planned for the Toyota Fixation channel. So if you aren't already subscribed, check out that channel, subscribe to there. Really cool content coming out of this car, kind of a unique build. We're gonna be converting it to something entirely different. So yeah, totally different story. But the reason we went with the 4-wheel drive Toyota Tercel is because of the other projects we're working on and because it was an inexpensive car. We picked up this car for $600. I did see another Toyota Tercel for $1,000. I want to say it had some minor issues keeping it from running and driving. It might have been drivable, but it was an automatic transmission, which is a big no thank you. Anyways, $600 car, throw a couple $100 clutch in, put some few parts in it, get it back on the road. Has good tires. Like I said, 4-wheel drive, really cool. Kind of a unique old car. It'll be fun. Bring back fond memories. Both my buddy and I both had Tercels. He had a 93, I had an 86. Different body styles, but we'd go romping around the hills. We always wished that they were 4-wheel drive. Now we've got a 4-wheel drive one. We also ended up getting Toyota pickups, and now I've got a Toyota 4Runner. So things evolve over the years, but got a little project car. This will be fun to work on. Stay tuned on this project. We'll probably be doing a follow-up video on the Thrifty Garage channel talking about the final installation on this, anything else Thrifty Garage related, and then we'll be doing a full video on Toyota Fixation channel. It'll be a whole series. So there'll be several different videos with this Toyota Tercel, the mods we're gonna make on it, and we're gonna make it kind of into a fun vehicle. Let's just say that. So if you aren't already subscribed, subscribe to the channel, give us a big thumbs up. Questions or comments down below. Thanks for watching the Thrifty Garage, and we'll see you on the next one.